But the first official story that we've got today relates to Major League Drone Racing. And if you're new to Major League new to this, you haven't heard of this, we've covered it a little bit. Major League Drone Racing, I kind of want to tell people what it is, but kind of nobody knows exactly what it is. It's a professional drone racing league, but unlike like DRL, where they have their own pilots that they hire who race, and it's kind of more like a television show than a sports league in some ways. Unlike DCL, where there are teams, right? The teams are represented. They represent countries, I believe, in DCL. So it's kind of like soccer, in that you've got with Major League Drone Racing. It's sort of tailored after like baseball or football, where there's states and regions, and each one has a team. There's the San Francisco so and so and the Phoenix such and such. And what was so weird about this is like the website popped up and they were like, "Hey, we're going to have races," and we were sort of like, "Who are you and where did you come from and how are you paying for all of this?" Yeah. And I don't think we have any answers about that. We just have drama.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we just got some new information, basically. So
all right.
There's a post on the MLDR group by the owner and CEO, I believe, of MLDR, which is Richard Tulloch. And he posted, there were some rumors going around, and he posted to clear up those rumors. And he basically says that, this isn't going to be easy. The community is extremely close in the drone racing, and he expects to be watched closely. He says, obviously I'm not perfect. He says, it is correct that Anthony Knight, that's AK for people who don't know, is no longer a part of MLDR. And I would be a fool to say this does not affect the company's direction. Absolutely ridiculous to believe an entire company revolves around just one person and not even me, that sort of thing. So he says he's not quitting. He's still pushing MLDR. He's still got a bunch of teams. There's only one person that left, and everything will be fine. I know other people have had concerns, obviously, because AK was kind of the link to the drone community. And that's certainly why I picked up the story originally about MLDR and why we talked about it the first time we talked about it. So it'll be interesting to see how this moves forward. They are selling tickets for the first races, that are in May, I believe. So, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, George, there was some question over whether we were going to cover this story, because if it's just pure drama with no facts and no meat behind it and no consequence, then we wouldn't cover it. But and there isn't a ton of meat behind it. There were some posts that were made that were then taken down, and because those were taken down, we're going to respect that by not actually sort of delving into that information. But this post from Richard Tulloch is public, and so we're going to cover it. It is only one side of the story, of which there certainly are more than one side. There's just one side for every person involved.
We did reach out to AK, and he declined to comment. So
yes, exactly. Yeah. So, as Jory says in the Discord, the only reason they had any credibility was because of AK. And so if he left, whatever the now I'm not making that statement, but that's a sentiment that is shared by a lot of people. And if that's how you feel, then you've got to be wondering, if the MLDR is something you're interested in now.
Yeah. Well, I think it's my opinion of it is, without AK being there, it sort of leaves a gap where we're not sure about the future of the program. Right. For me, the indicator that everything's going well is AK sticking around and being part of it and making sure everything's going properly. And I would assume he wouldn't put something bad behind his name, and then him leaving, does. We don't exactly know why. Again, we don't have really direct information, and he could have been fired. He could have left on his own. We don't really know that information.
Right.
But no matter what, him not being associated means, it's up in the air. We have a bunch of people who've been signed who are drone pilots, and they're hopefully, they're excited to do their thing. There's a bunch of teams they've got set up, and they've got races set up. But, the owner, nobody knows. And the main people doing this now are people that nobody really knows, and they're not part of the drone community. So it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of apprehension from people that might not have been there previously.
Yeah, if a random person showed up and said, "Hey, I'm starting a drone racing league, and I want a whole bunch of people to come race for me," and there would be a lot of suspicion about that in the drone racing community and in the FPV community in general. And having people with credibility behind them who are longstanding members of that community to then say, okay, I'm in on this, then buys you some credibility. So now there are, as you said, Blunty, there are other racers, some of them in the chat. I think I saw Buddha FPV in the chat saying, you know, I work for MLDR. I'm still in. It's all good. Richard Tulloch says it's all good. So maybe it's all good. But I mean, I think the concern that one might have would be, well, what is the concern that one might have? What's the worst case or downside of this?
I think the concern is that you've got a whole bunch of pilots roped in and a whole bunch of money floating around and a whole bunch of sponsors, I assume, that are coming, and a whole bunch of tickets that you're selling. Presumably, that's the goal, to sell these tickets. Mm-hmm. And now we don't know, we're not sure, are people that are working for this even going to be paid? And like, how does all this end up? And like, there's a lot of pieces to a new company that's coming out of nowhere and saying like, hey, we're going to revolutionize drone racing. He doesn't even have... there's no history in drones, and suddenly we're going to say, hey, we're going to beat DRL at their own game and make the best drone racing league that can happen. I think that's a big ask to say right out of the gate, and that's how they're doing it. They're signing up a bunch of teams, and they're getting a bunch of season stuff ready.
They made a big splash.
Yeah, they're not, to me, the way it's presented is they're not doing something small to start. They're doing out of the gate big, and so I think a lot of people, win big, fail big sort of thing, I think is, the position that I'm seeing. So.
Yeah. I mean, when someone comes out with a new crypto coin or new cryptocurrency or new crypto whatever, and they say, this is the next big thing, I say, okay, well, I can see how this is a ripoff. When someone comes out and says, you know what I want to do? I want to start a new drone racing league. On some level, I'm like, if this is and I'm not saying it is, but like, if this is a scam or a ripoff, it's a really bad one.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to start a drone racing league. I'm going to put $1 million into it, and I don't know what the path to profitability is, and neither do you. So, I mean, on some level, why would they do this other than that they just want to do it? Doesn't mean they're not potentially going to do some shitty things. Lots of people in FPV have done shitty things with the best of intentions. So,
yeah. I think we're sort of at a wait and see situation, but at least everybody knows now that AK is not a part of it, and I guess we'll see how it goes moving forward. We'll keep an eye on it, but I'll just say personally, I'm going to be a little farther away from it, knowing that he's not a part of it, and keeping an eye on it, and hopefully it goes well.
Yeah. Okay. So. The same. I mean, I have a lot of respect, I will say, for Richard's statement. Because I think that there is a level of professionalism that is often missing in FPV, because a lot of people in the FPV community don't have a big history in business. They're small companies or they're individuals. And then when people have a dispute or a disagreement about employment or pay or whatever, then it all spills out. I frankly have been guilty of this in the past. Letting my dirty laundry make it onto the social media and arguing with people who I should have been having private messages with. And I was really pleased that Richard's statement was basically like, he didn't say, F that guy, here's why we fired him, or anything along those lines. He just said, here, we're going to be fine. So we don't know the details. We're really not entitled to know the details unless someone decides to share them, in which case it's, and we'll just see how it goes going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.